Hi guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel, and if you are watching this video today, then a very Merry Christmas to you, and I hope you all have a lovely one. I am very excited for Christmas considering how crap this year has been. I need a little bit of festivity and celebration and joy in my life, and there are lots of books that I am very excited for in the new year, and there are several books that I have asked for Christmas, and these are the books I am hoping to receive tomorrow on Christmas Day. So one of the first books that I have asked for, and I have talked about this book quite a few times on my channel in the past actually, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. So I've read a lot of Matt Haig this year. I really like his books. He's an author that I have been aware of for quite some time, but I never really delved into his stuff until quite recently. The Humans is a book that I absolutely adore with all my heart, and that was the book that convinced me to read more stuff by this guy. So when I heard The Midnight Library was coming out, I was super keen to go and buy it. But of course, my boyfriend said to me, "Don't go buying any more books, Jess, because you never know what you might be getting for Christmas." So I've held off on this one, and I'm pretty convinced that I'm going to get it. So if I don't, I'll be really sad. This one is, I want to say it's a contemporary, but it's kind of not. It kind of verges more on like the magical realism, fantasy side of things as well. And it's all about this library that essentially has alternate versions of your life. And there is this girl that ends up in that library, and she essentially lives like different versions of her life or something in these books. I'm not 100% sure. I've tried to steer clear of reading synopsis for books this year. I want to be quite surprised by what they're about, but I have heard incredible things about this book, which just makes me want it more. So Santa, if you're watching, please put this book under my Christmas tree tonight because I really need it. I am reading off my laptop as well, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm looking at. So it's just because I have a bit of a rubbish memory when it comes to filming these videos, and I film with my phone, so I can't have like a list like to scroll through like that. So yeah, anyway, you don't care. The second book that I've asked for is another book that has been mentioned on my channel. It's one of the most anticipated new releases of the end of this year that I've been hoping to get my hands on. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This book recently came out, and there's so much hype surrounding it at the minute, and I'm really excited for this one because it is a 1920s retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but it's set in Shanghai. Now, I don't read a lot of historical fiction, and it is something that I am looking to read a little bit more of in the future. A lot of the historical fiction that I have come across has been set in the Western world, which is fine, you know, like I don't have anything against that, but I am trying to broaden my horizons a little bit and travel the world a bit more through reading. And so this one being set in Shanghai really solidified the need for this book, and we're basically following these two characters called Juliet and Roma, which Roma is a female version of Romeo, so I really like the gender swap thing going on there as well. And there's an element of fantasy to it, and there's like a big monster in Shanghai that they kind of have to fight against or something. I'm just really looking forward to this book, and this is another one that I have been nagging my boyfriend for ages. So then we've got Pine by Francine Toon, and this one is set in Scotland, I believe. Yeah, it's set in Scotland, up in the Highlands, and this is a book I've only become aware of quite recently, and I love the cover. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it kind of reminds me of The Only Good Indians with the big stag deer thing on the front. And I'm just going to read what it says here, because if I try and explain the synopsis, I'm going to butcher it. So let's just avoid that. The trees are coarse and tall in the winter light, standing like men. Lauren and her father Niall live alone in the Highlands, in a small village surrounded by pine forest. When a woman stumbles out onto the road one Halloween night, Niall drives her back to their house in his pickup. In the morning, she's gone. In a community where daughters rebel, men quietly rage, and drinking is a means of forgetting, mysteries like these are not out of the ordinary. The trapper found hanging with the dead animals for 2 weeks, locked doors and stone circles, the disappearance of Lauren's mother a decade ago. Lauren looks for answers in her tarot cards, hoping she might one day be able to read her father's turbulent mind. Neighbours know more than they let on, but when local teenager Anne-Marie goes missing, it is no longer clear who she can trust. In spare, haunting prose, Francine Toon creates an unshakable atmosphere of desolation and dread. In a place that feels like the end of the world, she unites the gloom of the modern Gothic with the pulse of a thriller. It is the perfect novel for our haunted times. Say no more. Gothic, horror, novel, those 3 words are just music to my ears. Split Tooth by Tanya Tagaq. So I've seen this book mentioned on Books and Lala's channel, and she really liked this book. I love her, and I think she has a great reading taste, and this book has really stood out to me for some time. It's a book that I have been really eager to get my hands on. Like I said, I'm trying to broaden my reading horizons, expand my, knowledge on certain cultures and, different people's backgrounds. And this one is written by a Canadian Indigenous author, which again is something I haven't read before. And this one is all about this girl who grew up in an Indigenous tribe. I think it's autobiographical. I believe it's, partly true, and it's written, from the author's experience of growing up in an Indigenous tribe. And it says on Goodreads that it kind of talks about, animals and the world of kind of like the myths that they have in those tribes, and also it's kind of like kind of talking about the distinctions between good and evil, animal and human. It says victim and transgressor, real and imagined. And it says it's a haunting, brooding, exhilarating and tender all at once novel. Yeah, it is. It's fiction and memoir, so it's a bit of both. It's myth and reality, poetry and prose, and conjures a world and a heroine readers will never forget. So this one sounds really interesting, and again the cover just really appeals to me. I think it's so beautiful. Really looking forward to this one. We've got Romanov by Nadine Brandes. I'm really sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I do need to start looking up the author's surnames before I try and pronounce them for videos, so please feel free to correct me in the comments if I have got it wrong. I'm really sorry. Romanov is a novel that's been out for ages actually, and it's one that I have been trying to get hold of for ages, but then other books came along, and so it's just kind of like been pushed to the sidelines. This one is set in Russia, and it's all about the Bolshevik army and this girl who has been hunted by the Bolshevik army before. Again, apologies if I'm saying that wrong. I've not read a book set in Russia before, so this is going to be another really interesting read for me, and I just love everything about this cover. I need to stop buying books based on their cover, because you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I do. And if it has a great cover like this, then I assume it's going to be a great book. Yeah, really hope I get this one. We'll say no more. Then we've got Leave the World Behind by Ramana Lamb, and this is a thriller that I have been anticipating for a few months now. It's recently come out. Everybody I follow on social media is reading it, so I have a big FOMO at the moment. Like, I feel like I am missing out on this book. This one is all about kind of exploring parenthood and race and social class, things like that. And it's about these two couples. One of these couples is on holiday, and then this other couple show up at their door, and they kind of explain to them that New York, where they're from, is experiencing a big blackout at the minute, and you know, you can't contact anybody, and the other couple don't know whether to believe them or not, and the two couples end up staying together, and there's a lot of tensions between the two, and just sounds really creepy. Actually, it sounds quite intense, and I've never read anything by this author. I've heard that he's really, really good, so if I can get this, I might try and read it before the end of 2020. But I'm not holding out on too much hope for that because I have so many books I need to finish already. Another book that centres around media and communications blackouts is The Silence by Don DeLillo. So again, this is another book that I mentioned in my most anticipated reads for autumn winter of 2020, and this is a novella, so it's a very short book. It's about 130 pages, and it's all about these group of people who are kind of like they're having a night together, an afternoon together or something, when everywhere experiences big media blackout. So there's no television, no internet, the phones are down, you can't call and you can't text anybody. And it's just kind of like exploring how these people deal with that, how they cope with that while also living, like having been forced then to kind of live together. Sounds really interesting. Looking forward to this one. And we've reached the last book on my wish list, and that book is Real World by Natsuo Kirino. They are a Japanese author, and this is a Japanese horror novel. And I've heard a lot about Japanese horror actually, and I've heard that it is weird, that it is absolutely mind-blowing, and I don't know, like, I want to delve into it. I might regret this decision. This novel is described as feminist noir, which really intrigues me. I want to find out what that's all about as a genre on its own. And this one says it's all about 4 teenage girls who wade their way through a hot, smoggy summer and endless cram school sessions meant to ensure entry into good colleges. So there's Toshi, the dependable one, Terachi, the great student, Yuzan, the sad one, grieving over the death of her mother and trying to hide her sexual orientation from her friends. And then we've got Kirarin, again, sorry if I'm saying these names wrong, the sweet one, whose late nights and reckless behaviour remain a secret from those around her. And then Toshi's next door neighbour is found brutally murdered, and the girls suspect the killer is the neighbour's son, a high school boy with nickname Worm. But when he flees, taking Toshi's bike and cell phone with him, the 4 girls get caught up in a tempest of dangers they never could have even imagined, that rises from within them as well as from the world around them. And it's kind of like all psychological and dark, and it just sounds so amazing. And I've heard that this author has written 2 other horror books that are pretty good. I think I have got one of those on my TBR actually, but I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. So this is a book that I've only just become aware of in the last month or so, because I am doing a challenge in 2021 that you will hear about in the future, where I'm reading these kind of books. As soon as I found this book, I asked my boyfriend if he could buy me it for Christmas because it just sounds so incredible and I feel like I need to have it in my life basically. But yeah, that is my 2020 Christmas wish list, and I've kept it to 8 books this year, and I've sent everybody different books off this list so that I don't end up with the same books twice, although I'm not going to complain if I do. Just because I know this year hasn't been the best for everybody. I don't want people to be spending absolutely ridiculous amounts of money on books for me. But I am hoping to receive these 8, or at least half of these 8 would be nice. And then in the new year, I'll just go mad and buy all the books I want myself. Because I'm going to be lifting my book buying ban soon, and I'm very, very excited. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Please let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books mentioned and what you thought of them. I would really love to hear your opinions. And if you have any book recommendations for me very similar to these books, then also feel free to let me know. I always appreciate book recs. I just need to keep adding books to my TBR. I don't need to keep adding books to my TBR. I need to stop. Anyway, if you like this video, then please leave a cheeky thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos from me in the future, and you can find out what that book challenge is that I am doing next year. And like I said at the start of this video, I hope you all have a very happy Christmas wherever you are in the world. I hope that it is a day filled with love and joy and festivity for you. God knows we all need a bit of fun right now, and I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye guys.